And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
That's right. You're watching the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Brandon is out today. Backup quarterback in the chair, James DeJerome. I'm the executive producer here at the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to give you the same quality product we always do. We're committed to providing information to the consumers of Tampa Bay. We want to make sure that your dollar goes as far as it can in the marketplace. So to that end, Brandon has collected a group of business partners, leaders in our community. We vet them and we have them come on the program and give us information and provide some knowledge for us, so that we understand what their field is all about. And when it comes time to make a purchase in that field, our dollar's going to go a lot farther. We're going to have some knowledge. So today on the show, we've got a couple of partners that we always have leaned on and do a great job for us. We have Chris Hatfield is going to be on the phone in a little bit from Tampa Screens and Aluminum. And of course, Travis McIntire from 3D Solar is right here in the studio with me. What's going on, Travis?
Yes, sir. Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
And we're going to talk a little bit today about all different things solar. Is that right, Trav?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. A lot of good things to talk about.
So we got some knowledge for you coming on the solar side. And before we do that, speaking of solar, 4th of July is coming up, and nothing says the 4th of July like the beach. So we've got our beach update coming from Clyde Smith, the general manager of the Bilmar Beach Resort. Clyde, you out there?
I'm here, James. Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, tell me about the weather. I'm jealous already. I want to get out there.
Well, in fact, I just looked at the extended forecast, and right now it is perfect right through the weekend. We're looking forward to sunny skies and cool pools.
I tell you,
it's looking really good.
4th of July has always been the beach for me, not just when I was a Floridian. It seems like everywhere I was as a kid, 4th of July, we're always somewhere at the beach, some kind of thing with the water. I imagine everyone is coming down to the beach area this weekend.
You know, it is going to be busy in the area, but fortunately, Treasure Island is such a large beach that, we're able to, have a great time. Families can get together, but still have plenty of social distancing. So that's always a big advantage for us versus some of our smaller beaches that you find in, some places in Florida.
That's right.
But we've got plenty of room, and we have 2 swimming pools here too, so that gives me even more space.
I want to use your patented 2-beer beach line because I never get to say that one. It takes 2 beers to cross that beach. It's so big.
It does. It really works out well, though, because you can have lots of activities. And just was talking with someone from the city, a couple other activities coming later in the year, and something over Super Bowl that's going to be announced soon. So it's pretty exciting.
Now,
We've got some extra activities going on here, too. I think you and I talked about scavenger hunt.
You got the scavenger hunt, which I'm not familiar with. What a great idea. Tell me about that one, Clyde.
So guests will get a sheet of paper when they come in, and it's going to have 10 clues on it. And it's clues to different points of interest in, throughout the hotel, like a boat that floats but in midair. They have to go and find that floating boat. And a couple of other things. It's going to wrap up with a little patriotic twist at the end of it. And the guests, once they complete their it's a picture completion, they'll text it to us, and we'll be able to make sure they got all 10 points. And then the children will be able to come and get a prize out of a special treasure box we have here.
You guys being creative. How about you? Do you have someone over there that comes up with these ideas, or is this you, Clyde?
We're pretty collaborative here. I've got a great team. My assistant's been, with the Bilmar for 30 years now, so she's seen a lot of things come and go in different times. Food and beverage team, they're always thinking creatively. We've turned our cafe into a game room with pool table and ping pong, and
that's right.
There's a special cleaning crew just for that area. And this year we're also going to be doing a 4th of July family grill out, so they can come and get hamburgers, hot dogs, and plenty of chairs outside for them to sit. That's down in the cafe area. And, of course, Sloppy Joe's going to have live entertainment that people can enjoy from the outdoor decks and the table spaced apart all weekend long, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, folks, if you're thinking about going down to the Bilmar for the 4th of July, fear not. Clyde is still, and his whole staff, still social distancing in place, still taking all the measures you need to be safe, except now you get to go down to the beach and enjoy the 4th of July.
Absolutely. We do still have rooms available. In fact, our Florida resident rate is probably one of the best deals out there. 2-night minimum for Saturday night, but a lot of places are still doing 3- and 4-night minimums. We reduced that down to give people a last-minute chance to get out.
Yeah.
And best way to do it is to go on to BilmarBeachResort.com. You're going to find the best deal. That's the only place you'll find the Florida resident rate. or give us a call directly if you want to talk about what rooms are out there and what's going to best meet the family needs.
I heard some stat, I think Brandon told me, some high percentage of all your rooms have a water view.
We do. 90% of our rooms face directly to the water, where you see a lot of places that, they go away from the water back towards the parking lot. We have 550 feet of beachfront rooms. In fact, there's only 12 rooms that don't face the water out of 166.
Wow.
So it gives everyone just a great view. And our first floor rooms, you actually open the sliding door and step right out onto the beach. That's the most popular. They're usually gone by this time before 4th of July. But there's rooms with balconies, rooms with kitchenettes. We really have a little bit of everything. Just depends on what someone's looking for.
I really like the uniqueness. I know we spoke in the past about the difference between a chain, you're staying at just another Hyatt or something, or some place that's a unique property like that. And you have a background as well, different properties, so you can appreciate what I mean by that.
I totally agree. And I've worked with most of the chains that are out there. One hotel actually went through 3 different chains. We reformed it a couple of times. And they do a great job, especially right now with, policy and the way people are handling things.
Sure.
But as an independent hotel, we can, go with the flow a little bit quicker. I don't have to go through a board, to change a cleaning protocol. We can just say, this
That's
makes
right.
sense, let's do it. And that's the way we trained our staff going into this period that we're in now is, speak up. If you see something we can be doing better, and quite a few have it. So we've changed some of our protocols based on, it may make a lot of sense when we're sitting down looking at it on paper, but when you're out there doing it, we've had some great employees step up and give us fresh ideas with a lot of things.
That's really cool. That's the whole idea behind having a local marketplace. We talk a lot on this program about supporting local businesses, and you guys, of course, finding employees right in the local area. So you're a business that provides employment for folks as well as recreation and all that kind of thing. But again, it's focused on our marketplace, our team, our group, our people, and that's the best thing about the Bilmar Beach Resort. I think it's kind of our hotel.
It truly is, and we're fortunate to be back up to 120 employees now after being down to just a dozen during the worst time. We're back up to that, and they're safe. We're checking the temperatures every day. We're just trying to do all the right things. And the great thing about our employees, because we had 90% comeback, which some places have struggled not to have that just for various reasons. And they come back and they know our guests. You come in and when Brandon stayed here not long ago, and they greet him by name when he walks in the door. And it's, we pride ourselves in that, and we enjoy it. It's not just because it's, yes, it's good for business, but we enjoy doing it. We enjoy our guests being our family.
Yeah, that's the extra feel you get when you go to the Bilmar Beach Resort. It's a little different than in a national chain hotel where you don't know anyone or have that different feel. Besides the fact that that area, I really like the beach community down there. It's not so corporate. It's kind of got a nice little atmosphere to it right around the hotel.
That's so true. In addition to our 2 restaurants, there's another 12 restaurants of simple pizza right across the street to, Middle Grounds Grill just up the block, which has been family owned and operated for 40 years now. And, they're all locally owned. Most of us live here on the island together. It's a wonderful community. And once you get here, you can walk everywhere you want or take the free beach rides.
Okay,
so that takes you down just a mile to John's Pass, or if you want to get away to a little different funky little beach called Sunset Beach. That's available here too. And again, there's lots of space there to have a good time at the beach, or just walk out our back door.
That's right. Clyde Smith, the GM of the Bilmar Beach Resort. We got 4th of July coming up. If you folks are out there thinking about what to do for the weekend, man, it's so beautiful down there. You definitely want to get down and give Clyde a visit and check it out. It's very cool, and like I said, it doesn't have the corporate feel. It's kind of unique and interesting and different than you find other places. All right, Clyde, so we're wrapping it up here. I want to give you an opportunity. You said book direct, is that right?
Absolutely. There's lots of people out there saying, go to our website, you'll find the best deal. We can pretty much guarantee that when you go on BilmarBeachResort.com, find a qualified discount. If you're military, we've got special rates there. You want to come later in the summer, you can get the exclusive third night at 50% off. That's only available on our website. That's really the best way to see it. And our website is true to who we are. The pictures you see is what you're going to see when you get here.
Yeah, it's really cool. You guys want to get down there and check it out. Tell Clyde that you heard about us on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and he'll hook you up. Great times. I hope I can get down there this weekend, Clyde. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, James. Go USA, and everyone be safe out there.
All right, thanks, Clyde. That's Clyde Smith, the GM of the Bilmar Beach Resort. When we come back, we're going to talk to Chris Hatfield, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, another great partner here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We want you to go to consumerqb.com. It's where you can find all our partners and learn how to get in touch with them directly, and you can find more information than you get here on the show. We know these folks are out there doing business for you, and we want to encourage you to do business with them. So come on back, check us out, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
That's right. Give Brandon a call. Let him know that you heard us on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and he'll hook you up. He owns Platinum MVP Realty, and he's definitely the owner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's given me the opportunity to sit in this chair for him today as he's taken the extra precaution of self-quarantining because he thinks he might have had an exposure, so he didn't want to bring it in the studio. He's at home listening, and like he always does. In studio with me is Travis McIntire from 3D Solar. And joining us on the phone is another partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show, Chris Hatfield from Tampa Screens and Aluminum. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing very well, James. How about yourself?
Doing well. And we were having discussions in here about the Florida lifestyle and how solar's kind of expanding. But you can't have a real Florida home unless you got a pool and a pool cage. Is that right?
You got to have some form of a screen room, whether it's a pool and a pool cage or some form of a covered awning outside of the house that's screened in, or as much as, screening in a front enclosure and a rear lanai. You have to have some sort of an oasis that you can go out to because especially in these months out of the year, the mosquitoes are our state bird for a reason.
Yeah, I tell you, they're definitely out, and you can't do much about them. They're coming all the time. I remember, just to throw back a minute, during the previous pandemic we had, which was Zika, if you recall that, just a few years ago. I actually had a mayor of one of the small municipalities in Dade County come on and did a news conference and said, well, we rest assured our town is mosquito free. I said, what town in the state of Florida is mosquito free? Come on.
I mean, they can drive up and down the boulevard and spray malathion and whatever else they want to put out into the air. But, yeah, as long as there's any type of water that's settling on your house, your neighbor's house, Even just a plant, every tropical plant that we have, some of these are bromeliads. They're meant to hold water for an extended amount of time to give themselves nourishment. The mosquito just knows this. I mean, we're a tropical oasis. We've got mosquitoes.
Yeah,
there's no combating that.
And guys out there think that they have to have a special gauge on their screen. How does that work with pests out there? You can stop just about anything, right?
Well, there's different meshes. I mean, your basic pool and patio grade is going to be kind of like your window screens. Your window screens have rectangular holes, and those rectangular holes, they're called 1814, and that's 18 lines by 14 lines per square inch.
Okay.
When another customer lives down in let's say, a wetland area, some of my customers in Odessa and Asturia and Bexley and things like that, where they're brand new subdivisions that don't have an ecosystem. They've got a man-made lake here, there, and everywhere, but it's not really an ecosystem. There's going to be a lot of, bugs that are going to be able to harbor up there, smaller gnats and mayflies. But when you get into the coastal areas, which we're predominantly, most of the real estate in this area is pretty coastal, you get into no-see-ums. And those are the little bitty ones that seem to go right through 1814 mesh, and then those people tend to upgrade for a 2020 pool and patio grade, or a P4 poly that's done in a 1720. And that's just a thicker type of a polymer that makes up the screen, so they don't need to put as many lines, but it still makes a small opening. There
is actually a way to stop no-see-um. I thought there was absolutely nothing you could do to stop a no-see-um from getting through.
The screen actually says no-see-um on it. I'm not joking with you. Right on the advertisement, it literally has the hyphens and everything. No-see-um abatement.
Well, there you go.
So it's just a matter of sealing up the entire enclosure. If an enclosure's got open caulking gaps, if the rubberized bug sweep that's under the bottom of the door, simple things that a homeowner can do without a repairman, if those things aren't sealed up, then bugs are going to come in.
Right, they're coming around the screen. I got you. So I've been asking.
But if you give a quality rescreen, you can usually tackle all those problems.
Okay. I've been asking all the business guys that come on the show just how COVID has impacted their business or how they're doing things. You guys are still going gangbusters over there?
It's been slammed. I got married February 29th. I went away for a week for my honeymoon. I came back, and the world had shut off. But not my business. You'd think you get back from a week's vacation, and maybe it'll be a little slow. You don't know. You're not sure. Well, it was tax time. We obviously get a little bit of a ramp up in spring. But then the additionals of people getting a tax refund and then also getting a stimulus. The have-nots are still suffering. I'm not saying that they have enough money to get by, but the haves, the people that had planned for financial insecurity and things of that nature, it was just an extra little splash into their pocket at a time that they weren't spending any money. Average family spends $2,500 to $10,000 on vacation budget a year. If you're not going on a summer vacation, you're going to spend that money into your house.
Sure.
You now combine with the fact that people are working from home. A vast majority of people that have been told, you could still have your job, but you're going to work from home. Think about it. You've never been able to decorate your office with other than a couple Post-it notes and a stupid plant.
Right.
Now you can decorate your office because it's your home. You can make it do, everything you've wanted to do. You have the money, you have the time, and you're right there to be discerning so that you can call more contractors to get more quotes. And it's literally like somebody turned on a faucet, and it has not shut off since.
Well, you guys are certainly involved in new construction, and you guys certainly can modify an existing residence with an addition of a pool cage or some kind of screen structure. What of replacing an existing screen structure? What if somebody has a screen and they want to go to one of your the real beautiful panoramics or something that you guys offer?
That's my kit and caboodle. I'm residential sales. I rarely ever deal with anything on the commercial building market. So if a customer's looking to have a home renovation, they're going to get in touch with somebody like myself or Fred.
Okay.
And we're going to come out there and we're going to take a look at your existing enclosure. If there's any remedies or repairs, if we can take your existing enclosure and perform some panoramics, perform some things of that nature, if we can cut apart your enclosure and put in new 7-inch gutter, we can do all of those things. But the repair and labor costs of repairing an existing, I always make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze, that the enclosure that's there still has enough life to it. I'm not going to suck money out of you just because of the fact that it's money on the table. If a new enclosure is the way to go because your enclosure either has faulty screws or was built inadequately, then I'm going to let you know that. I'll give you both options, but most of the time people go for a full, rehab.
Because the materials have changed as well, can you integrate new material into an existing cage if I'm talking about the structural support?
Most certainly. I mean, we're going to have to abide by modern codes, so there's a lot of things. Tampa's a unique area. I'm from down in Port Charlotte, and we were a unique area one time too, and then a storm came across us and tore apart all those cages and all those trees. But Tampa's been spared for the most part. There's still some existing enclosures in this county that I've seen that are over 35 years old. Those things, obviously, if they haven't fallen down by gravity, we need to take them down. But that being said, we can always bracket right up against just about anything. Now, the material is going to look a little newer. It's going to have a nice finish, a new veneer. If you're going old, faded, sun-tarnished bronze and then putting an extension next to your pool enclosure that will be brand new, brilliant, dark, and lustrous, well, then, yeah, you'll be able to tell the difference. Right. But the materials themselves, the extrusions, they're still made with the same mentality as they were then. It's just interior metal thickness. They exert their engineering right. with thicker mill thicknesses to the material. But the outbound is still 2 inches. It's 2 inches by 2 inches.
Okay, now I got Travis Larimore with me, right? Travis McIntire with me right here in the studio from 3D Solar. We were visiting earlier about modifying existing houses. You know, when you go up there and you got to kind of see what the existing roof, what the life is in the roof to make the deal make sense, Trav. But is there something like that when you show up on a screen job and they say they're looking for a rescreen and you say, man, I just don't see the life left in your supports? Is there a way to, is that something you run into where you don't want to necessarily undergo a screen replacement if the supports need some work?
Absolutely. If I see an enclosure, the first thing I'll walk through, luckily Tampa Screens, we're a bigger company. We have crews that work for us. So we don't really facilitate one panel repairs. Right. We do have other great handymen that will refer in the area, but we're more of a full enclosure builder. And we will rescreen an enclosure, but only the entire enclosure. And for that, when I come out to view an enclosure, I have a rescreening background. That's where I cut my teeth in this industry. I used to walk beams. I used to, rescreen an entire roof in a day. So I look over everything to kind of think of the installer and his safety. First and foremost, before it's even a customer's house, I'm thinking about my workers. I don't want them going up on something that's not going to send them home that evening. So I do look over the rigidity of the enclosure. If it's not what we call a sustainable host and it's not going to lend itself to a repair, 9 times out of 10, it's just because it needs additional fasteners. The bottom fasteners that anchor an enclosure to the concrete are called Tapcons. Those Tapcons wear away. They've got interference because of dissimilar metals, and they face corrosion at all points. So chlorine and salt chlorinators and things like that coming into conference with them definitely doesn't do good for them. So we come in and we change out Tapcons all the time. The hurricane cables that hold on an enclosure, they are self-explanatory. They're called hurricane cables. If a hedge trimmer has gone by and zipped through one, well, then we need to put another one on. And if I look at an enclosure and I can see that the gutter is what we call smiling because the fascia board is rotted and not doing its job anymore, well, then I let them know we need to tear off the enclosure, rebuild the host, the house area, and then either put the enclosure back on or build a new one.
So that's the idea, guys. If you're out there, you need to find somebody you can trust, and that's why we've got these folks here on the show with me today, because they're going to give you the straight information that you need to make good decisions. Again, I mentioned Travis in the studio here. Travis, you come into that. We just talked about it. When you're going out, somebody says, I got to have solar, man. And you say, you got to understand where your roof is at before you can understand how your solar project's going to work.
Absolutely. And then part of a relationship like with Chris is that we can refer each other. I mean, yes, we make mistakes. Sometimes I've torn a little bit of a screen and we've had to have a service go in and repair one because we do it immediately. But it's nice to have good people out there, and this sounds like he's one.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, you run into solar guys on the job out there?
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I'm doing residential sales throughout the Carrollwood, Citrus Park, Odessa, throughout that area. So just as many I probably see 15 different solar trucks driving around, that are doing different installations. I bought my house just in 2017, and it's probably only a 200 house community.
Mm-hmm.
We've had about 7 of them go up just in my neighboring areas. So I've driven around and I've looked at the different applications to how they're installed and how it's going into a roof. And I'm wondering how our two worlds are going to blend in the future because, well, in all honesty, we build composite roofing items. We build extensions beyond everybody's house. It almost seems like when a house is under a tree and they can't get the right exposure to get the sun, we can build an aluminum roof enclosure type thing and then put solar panels on it that accept the sun wherever that tree's not. I've been thinking about this for 3 to 5 years, and I'm wondering when the engineering is going to catch up to it.
Yeah, I think you got a point there. Obviously, solar is the future. There's going to be more solar coming. There's going to be more ways to make your property solar friendly. If you, like you said, if the tree's not there, it doesn't work for you, you'll find a way around that. That's the key with all our guys on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're trying to work for you to find solutions. We're going to send good folks out there. They're going to do their best to figure out a way to give you what you want. Chris Hatfield, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Chris, we got about a minute left. Tell me about Tampa Screens. How do we get in touch with you?
Area code 813-960-7064. You can go on tampascreens.com, facebook.com/tampascreens. Ricky, my boss, he does a great job of putting up a lot of different pictures, testimonials, things of that nature. But again, it's not a thing where usually we used to advertise people can come stop in the shop, come shake our hands, come meet us, come see some of our samples. Right now, we can't do that. Mm-hmm. So I'm the person that is literally the executor of the company. I'm coming out and I'm showing you every possible solution we can do, and I'm walking you through everything. If you need a hands-free, if we need an entirely touch-free environment, I have electronic estimation software. I'm wearing a mask. I'm coming out and meeting with people in their own home, and I'm treating it like I was my own home and providing great renovation.
That's right. Chris Hatfield, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, just another partner on the Consumer Quarterback Show. You can check them out on consumerqb.com. Get in touch with them. Get out and start enjoying the Florida lifestyle without those mosquitoes. All right, coming up, Travis McIntire, 3D Solar. We're going to have David Ringo also join us, so we're going to talk solar here coming up on the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Thanks so much, Chris.
listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right, consumerqb.com is where you can find all the partners for the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brandon Rhymes is the host of the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's not in today. He's taken the extra step of self-quarantine. He felt he might have had an exposure. He didn't want to bring it to the studio. So I'm your producer, James DeJerome. I'm currently in the chair sitting in for Brandon today. We've had Chris Hatfield from Tampa Screens and Aluminum, and earlier the GM of the Bilmar Beach Resort, Clyde Smith, greeted us and talked about his 4th of July plans. But now we're going to talk solar. We got Travis McIntire from 3D Solars right in the studio with me. And on the phone with us is David Ringo from 3D. And while I got you guys on here, I was going to ask you a little bit about COVID-19 and how it impacts everybody and what you've done to keep your business going and how your business is doing in the face of this thing. Go ahead, Dave.
Absolutely, James. Good afternoon. Well, listen, we've seen impacts on future bills and past bills both, because we've had some interesting phone calls lately that, when we build a solar system, you build it to eliminate your existing bill, and you go by the 12 months history. And that's pretty much the most ethical way of doing it. You don't go in there and guess. And we have softwares that make it to where it's really easy for us to get very, very targeted numbers on what to eliminate. So I take all the complaint calls at 3D Solar, and we've had a rash of them this spring, and starting in this second quarter as well. People are calling and going, listen, I didn't have a bill last year. I got a $40 bill this month, and I had a $30 bill last month, and I'm just curious why. And, once you start having the conversation of,
sure,
and it doesn't take long, listen, did you literally have a school in your house last year and a home office? And they're like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about it. Both my kids are home all the time, so there's a lot more consumption going on in residential, settings than there were last year. It's just,
I can imagine. It's not something on the top of your mind. And also another thing I think is when you put those panels up there, people are like, boy, it's free. Turn it on. Thermostat goes to 60. Heat up the water. People have no idea. It's based on consumption. You've got to still be a wise and, a consumer who knows what they're doing.
That's absolutely right. So it is really neat to see the light bulb go on, even though you can't see their face when you're talking to them on the phone.
Right.
All of a sudden they're like, oh, I get it. So yes, absolutely, and it's interesting, and I think either one of us could talk a little bit about how we're judging it going forward too. Because listen, if we overproduce, the thing I always tell people is if you want to overproduce, that's fine, and you can do it on your own accord. And I'll tell you what you should produce up to. But if you want to throw a couple extra panels on there because you're getting a pool heater or you're doing something in the future, and you are, that's fine. But if people come to me and say, listen, I want to put 10, 12 extra panels up there just for security, listen, you can't go take solar off of a house, but you can add it. I always tell people to get on the smaller side. So that's some of the conversations we're having now.
I see.
Because people are looking at their COVID consumption now, and it's higher.
Right.
And I keep telling them, listen, bump it back a few panels. Let's go back just a little bit, because next year, listen, I'm the ultimate optimist. I believe that next year we're going to be back to more of a normal state than we are now.
That's right.
So I hope let's all hope that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I look at it. I just, we have to be cognizant of you are using more power right now than you did last year. And
So
let's
Travis,
not base our consumption there.
Yeah, Travis was telling me, when you go out in the field, you're looking around, you're seeing more people with solar. And so you're like, boy, there's more examples for folks out there. And that's kind of good for you, because they might be the example of the salesperson that's not doing the right thing.
It is. And not to pick on anybody, but when you're, especially in St. Petersburg and in Clearwater, I have no idea why it's like the conduit capital of the world. But, and I know people have attics down there, and they're running plastic conduit to connect the arrays, and they're running them across the roof, and it looks ridiculous because you have this plastic on top of $1 million home. And when a homeowner drives by that doesn't have solar and they see that, they're like, I don't want that on my roof. Well, neither does 3D Solar.
Right.
So we spend a little bit more money. We penetrate the attic and go through the attic and come out the soffit, drill a hole that's leveled and look like a professional installed it, and actually do our job. And it really looks impressive when you see a 3D Solar install and you're driving to it, and especially as a sales manager, and I pass them and I think, that's not mine. Then you see ours installed, you're driving up to it and it stands out. because it's professionally installed, it's level, and I dare you to find a wire hanging down, and it's installed the way it should be.
And
we
that's
set
what you want as a salesman, when you can just simply go, there I am, and there the competition right there for you.
I'm proud of it, man. And that's why I showed up the other day with lunch for the guys. Let me tell you something, man. It's June, and it's 100. I don't know. It felt like 900 degrees up there. You're on the sun, but my crew's sweating. They're pouring sweat, and to take them lunch and to show up and say the homeowner I'm here like I promised. I love that because our team, we're a team, and I'm only as good as those guys on the roof. I'm a sales guy. I mean, I'm chubby. I'm not getting on the roof, but my guys do at 150 degrees. But I do want to share a story if I can, if you don't mind. Let me share a story of this as far as the savings of solar. And it really hit home to me. My wife's an accountant, and she's always showing me our bills and talking to me about what we're saving, which I love. But I'm going to challenge the average homeowner to please listen to what I'm going to say. And then you need to call 3D Solar, and I'm going to come out and see you and give you an estimate on how to save money. If your average electric bill is $200 a month, that's an average.
Right.
And in Florida, that's a very popular average. Most people say that.
Sure.
So that's $2,400 a year. And if you do that over 20 years, that's $48,000. And a lady asked me the other day, how much is my system? And she had a $200 average electric bill.
Right.
And I turned the calculator and I said, it's $48,000. And that's what she's paying now. And she looked mortified at me and she's like, I can't afford that. And I was like, well, neither can we. And that's why your solar system is $6,000 less. And I was being fair to utility companies. And
right, about future increases.
No inflation. The $2.6 billion upgrade in the grid Duke just got approved for was not included in that.
Right.
That was apples to apples. And to be $6,000 less and know that system is yours and paid off when it's done, come on, people. Solar's a no-brainer.
It's your perspective, too. I don't think homeowners are thinking of it in the long term. You know, the idea that your power bill is once a month. Well, no, it's not. You're in the home. It's coming every month.
It is. It is.
I like that.
And by the phone calls I get, I can tell that people, especially the salespeople that are not trained over there. I've had solar in my house for a couple of years, and I've been doing solar for 3 years with 3D for 3 years.
Right.
I feel like I just started yesterday. There's so much to learn and so much new product and materials and rules and regulations coming out. If you don't study in this business and really stay on top of it, you'll get lost.
So you can see the need if you're a homeowner. You want someone you can trust. You're going to have to shop around. You're going to have to find information. You're going to have to do some homework, and you're going to have to meet these guys and find out what they're really all about, because this is an investment that's going to take a while. It's not a one-time buy. These are folks you're going to be involved in business with for years.
And James, you're so right. And here's what I've been hearing. If you do it today by 5 o'clock, we'll give you this special deal. Well, no deal. Does TECO shut your power off at 5 o'clock?
Right.
No. Well, neither is the solar company going to go out of business if they don't sell by 5. And that's ridiculous. Sales tactics are killing it because they make people want to shop, because no one wants to be sold.
Right.
They want to buy. And you don't want to be the dork that got sold that has a big electric bill and a solar payment. So that's what's happening in the market.
Folks, just like everything out there, you better find someone you can trust, and you're going to have to find a resource for information. Okay, so these guys that come into your home and try to sell you something, make sure they're educating you rather than selling you, because there's a lot to learn, as Travis is going over with us now. It's easy to make a mistake if you don't know what you're doing.
No, and I got to brag on David Ringo, the owner of 3D Solar. I mean, David I think he's crazy because the people, we got a couple bad reviews. Now, gosh darn, the dreaded bad review. We do work so hard to do the right thing.
Sure.
But sometimes, gosh darn it, Murphy's going to show up.
Can't be helped.
You're going to be a human being. But instead of taking the review and saying, what the heck, we'll just deal with that, David actually calls him up and said, listen, I'm the owner of 3D Solar. I can't take that I have hardworking people that work for me that are being represented by a bad review online. What in the world can I do as the owner of 3D Solar to bring good faith back to you as a customer? No one does that.
Right.
But David Ringo did, because he cares about his business and about his customers.
So you can't just shop the bottom line out there, guys. That's what we're trying to get across to you, is you better find a trusted advisor, someone who can ask questions, and you better find other people in the solar game that have bought solar and find out what their experience has been. Because once you stack everything up, I think you'll find that 3D is a company you can do business with and stand behind because of their history in the game.
And if you go on our reviews, I mean, here's what's sad. I've got a lot of good reviews online. Hey, Travis did this and Travis did that. You know what my secret sauce is? I call people back. And I'm like, that's my secret sauce.
That works.
I do what I say, and I call people back. And if I tell you I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up. And if
right.
not, I'll tell you why I didn't. But that's sad.
One of the things I really like is David started this thing himself. Yeah. So the owner of the company is not sitting back looking at a stock report, figuring out how much his stake is. This is his company from the bottom up. Tell me about starting it out, Dave.
Those are some memories, let me tell you. I started the company in 2013, and for several months it was me by myself. And I can remember literally going and talking with somebody and selling them a project. And then back then I was doing a lot more pool and hot water heating. We weren't doing a lot of the photovoltaics yet. And I'd sell a pool heater to somebody one day and then go get a permit, and I'd do it all myself. And I mean, it was everything, I didn't have anybody to lean on. So I would go get the permit, and I'd show up with the materials. Say I sold it on Monday, Thursday morning, I'd be at somebody's door knocking and going, "Hey man, we're ready for the install." And they're like, "Who's doing the install?" And I said, "Well, it's me." And they didn't believe me at first. And at the end of the day, when I left and they had a pool heater that was fully functional and installed, there you go. So, and it grew from there, and all I did, I will say this, I mean, Travis, raves about the company and me and all that stuff, but I just see it as doing the right thing. And the whole premise that I built this entire company on was, if I go to the grocery store and I'm walking down the aisle and I see James walking up the aisle at me, and James, I sold you a system, I don't want to have to take the kids and duck to the next row and avoid you, man. I want to be able to go up and say, "Hey, man, how's it going?"
Absolutely.
I know that I sized it right. I know that I installed it right. I gave you everything you wanted. I was there. Our phone number doesn't change. It's been the same since 2013. We've moved because we've got grown locations, so we do have a lot of different addresses, but our mailing address has been the same since the beginning. But we don't want to have it to where we can't see somebody. We want to look you in the eyes, and if you're not happy, if I see something if I see you in a grocery store and you're like, "Dude, I'm not happy about something," I'll be like, "Before I leave that aisle with you, I'm going to have a service call written. I'm going to have, we're going to come out and see you this week, and we're going to get it rectified. That's what we told you we would do." So that's the only premise that we've really built on this company. And if you live by that, man, we're doing great. And every day, like Travis said, we learn, man.
Yeah.
We're learning about, different battery backup systems and different inverters and how this works. And I've been in this business in this central area for 12 years. And when I go somewhere, I don't go to homes very often, but when we have a lot of sales calls that are coming in and we can't get to all of them, I'll take some overflows every once in a while.
Right.
So I'll go out and I'll sit in a customer's house, and they'll be like, "Well, listen, the guy ahead of you just told me that this is wrong. So I really don't know if you know what you're talking about." And I sit here and I'm like, I don't know how to say this, but I'm going to tell you, you can have 8 people in your house, and you take their combined experience, and it won't match my experience. Period. So I mean, I'm not trying to be a bully here, but there's zero chance that kid that came in here that's been in solar for 6 months that was right here previous to me knows anything about it, because I used to install them by myself. I used to sell it by myself. So that's what we're up against. That's what Travis was alluding to earlier. These kids, they're slick, man. They'll sit in front of you. Listen, this is going to go this way. It's going to be this way. It's this and this and that and this, and they're very convincing. And they have a lot of really good-looking young people that, male and female, whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're attractive people that are getting yeses right away. And they sell something that you may not be happy with. You may have a good situation, but with us, there's no secrets from the start to the finish. There's no secrets. The license holders are in the company. I have a license. We have an EC license holder that's our partner. He works with us every single day. He's on the payroll, and we don't have any, 1099 employees at all.
Right. And you can see how this thing has changed in just the last 7 years that you've been involved, leaps and bounds. So if you don't have somebody who's learning and has a background in this, how are they going to keep up with this thing?
Yeah,
they're not going to. And what we look for is people that want to be the trusted advisor, because especially as a trainer at 3D Solar, if you don't want to learn, you're wasting my time, because you're wasting Solar's time. And quite frankly, you're wasting the homeowner's time, because these people deserve for them to, and I beg the homeowners, when the salesperson sits down, you need to ask them, "Do you have solar on your house?" "Oh, so you've seen a video on YouTube and you're an expert now." No, an expert's your accountant wife. Ask them why you have a $32 electric bill, because she left the slider open for the dog to get out. Now, it was fun for me to tell her why that was, in a way, but these people don't understand solar because they don't have it. You really need to have it, be able to read your bill and be able to answer questions logically, so that way you can help the neighbor go solar. I was on a job site the other day, and it's on K Street in South Tampa. It was almost embarrassing. We took care of the guy. The guy was tough, and him and his wife, they went through a couple of our bad reviews, and we're learning.
Right.
But they wanted to know what was going on, and they felt enough trust in me as the advisor that that they move forward. I wasn't the cheapest, but they trusted me. Well, we did the job in 6 weeks, start to finish. The job was done. Wow. And while we were installing the job, I showed up with lunch, and the homeowner yells to the neighbor, "Hey, this is your solar guy." And right then and there, I went next door and sat down, and a couple days later, we signed him up. Not that day, because they needed to think about it. That's how 3D Solar does it. And man, was I honored by that.
I tell you, that is the way, no matter what business you're out there thinking about getting into or patronizing, you better have somebody who has that philosophy, because that's the way business is going to work. That's what works for you as the consumer out there. All right, so we're going to come into a break now. When we come back, more with these guys. I want to get you to understand what solar is, what it can do for you, and how you find the right person to put your deal together. So Consumer Quarterback Show, we're going to pick it up here in just a minute. Stay with us, and if you get a chance, go online and check out consumerquarterback.com. It's where you'll find all our partners. Consumer Quarterback Show rolls on.
This is Chris, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right, consumerquarterback.com. Consumerqb.com, I should say, is where you can find all our partners on the Consumer Quarterback Show. One of the things that Brandon started the show all about is committing a random act of kindness. We're trying to encourage folks to do something for your partner, your brother, your family member, and pay it forward. And if everyone does that, think about where we'd be. It's so easy to do and so simple. And to that end, he started the feel-good story of the day. We want to take your mind off negativity and give you something positive to think about. Got a feel-good story out of Miami Beach for you. So, I'm sorry about that. Local garbage men brought to tears by a surprise party. Let me tell you about this. A residents of North Bay Road in Miami Beach gathered early Friday morning with signs and gifts as they waited for their local sanitation workers. Mr. Keon Scruggs and Saul Richardson, who've never missed a day of work picking up trash in Miami Beach, thought they were just showing up to their regular collection route. but not to be. Neighbors had a celebration of gratitude fit for the essential workers during the coronavirus pandemic. Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber was there to celebrate with them. We're here to celebrate our 2 sanitation workers who just really make our day brighter, even when during a pandemic, says Alan Weisberg. They do so much more than pick up our trash. It's particularly special that these 2 men have positive energy they always bring with them. They always have smiles, and if you know them, you love them, he says. So they said, the 2 guys trying to fight back tears here, everything he taught me, I just want to be like him, Richardson said about his colleague. The mayor said these 2 guys represent our city very well. And again, we want to bring you stories like this because there's folks out there working every day, whether they're on the front line or not. And if you recognize them with just some gratitude, it'll change their perspective and it'll make you feel better about yourself as well. So it's not a difficult thing to do. It's something we can all do pretty easily, and it'll make a big difference. So again, that's something Brandon put the show together and wanted me to pass on to you, and I'm glad to do that. And also, one of the things we try to do is make your dollar go farther in the marketplace. To that end, I've got David Ringo and Travis McIntire from 3D Solar in here. And these guys are here to help you. They want to give you some alternatives. If you're out there and you're struggling with a power bill, it's getting a little away from you, let's find out if solar's right for you. They're not saying it's right for every single person, but you better find out if it's right for you. It's the future. So I want to get back into that discussion with you guys about homeowners that call you and say, hey, come on out, I want to get solar. But there's a process that you take them through. Tell me about it, Trav.
That's correct. Usually what I like to do is first we'll check the roof, and I want to make sure that you're not covered in trees. I'm not going to waste the homeowner's time, and we don't like to cut trees down. And if you're in Largo or an area where it can be difficult to obtain a permit, there's no way that you're going to be able to do that. And some homeowners don't realize that. But there's websites that can help us guide you on to look at the roof before we even come out.
You assess the age as well?
Absolutely. I'm not going to put solar on a 30-year-old roof. That's silly. So I know that if the roof's over 16 to 17 years old, of course a removal and reinstall is going to come into play. And as an advisor, we'll talk to you about that and make sure that we address that.
Sure.
I want to make sure that your panels can handle the solar, and I want to make sure that you don't have to have an upgrade for electricity. And having an AC on staff really helps out a lot, because if you do need anything, we can help you. I like to make sure that you're going to be in the home for a couple years or longer, because if you're a flipper and you're going to be in the house for 6 months, solar will add value, but it may not be worth the investment as far as if you're moving every year.
Okay.
But if you're in that house for 5 to 10 years, you got to do solar. It's a no-brainer.
What's the bill you're looking for?
I go anywhere from my sweet spot's between $150 and $200. But I really like the one I saw the other day was a $400 electric bill.
Holy smokes.
$4,000 a year on electricity. 80 grand over 20 years.
It was residential.
Residential. And people just don't realize how much they spend. And what return on investment do you get from the utility company? Zero.
Absolutely nothing.
No, you get one thing, a guaranteed rate increase, which is awesome, isn't it? No, it's not. With solar, you really do have an end to your payoff. And after 20 years, it's paid off. So most people pay it off early.
One of the cool things that you taught me about solar is, you think of it as an investment in your power, certainly. But one of the cool things is you guys guarantee the consumption, or the rate, I should say. So if a panel starts to not produce what I think it should, there's a threshold at which time you guys will do something about that.
Comes in a trusted advisor, and that's why you got to know what you're doing when you're selling solar. So if I tell you that the system is going to produce 15,000 kilowatt hours per year, it's actually in writing. It's called a production guarantee. 3D Solar is one of the few companies that will actually do that, and that's guaranteeing what's coming out of a salesman's mouth is going to be backed up by the company, and that's unheard of nowadays. Right. I'm very proud that we do that because it's backing up what we tell you. We guarantee you we're going to do this.
Yeah, the idea of the production meeting consumption, I think, is that consumers need to understand where they're coming from with that. Anyone can come in your living room and say, I can do this for you for this amount of money, but they're not showing you the production. They're not putting it on. It's not performing yet.
Well, that's true, James. And I'll give people the big live solar out there and where to be careful. The real confusing kilowatt system for a customer is around 35 to 42 modules, which means that you're going to be over the 11.7 threshold for a tier 2 system. The utility company requires you to have $1 million protection for their grid. It's grid protection.
Okay.
It doesn't cost much, about $180, $200 a year at the most. I've got a great connection, and that's who I use. But that being said, some salespeople will actually downgrade the system, make it smaller to stay under the tier 2 threshold because they're afraid to tell the customer about the tier 2 insurance because they don't know about it. Well, you have to have that. And then they'll tell the customer, cancel it after you get connected to the grid. Well, next year, when Duke sees you don't have that, you get disconnected from the grid. So that's just part of being a trusted advisor, where you're selling with ethics, honesty, and integrity. And this is for a 20-year commitment. I'm not doing this for 2 years and get in my RV and go to Georgia. I've lived here for 21 years.
Yeah, that's
I'm
the
a
point.
neighbor.
That's the point I really want to drive home, is that this is a relationship that's going to have to continue for a while.
Absolutely.
If this guy packs up and drives out of your driveway right after he puts it on your roof and you never see him again, you got some problems.
You've got huge problems. Who's going to service your material? We get phone calls occasionally from the manufacturers of people that have gone out of business. And look at Brevard Solar. They were cheap, and everybody's like, I want the best price.
Right.
Well, ask the people in St. Pete that had rails and no panels for 9 months and still had a big Duke bill. What'd they do? Well, did Brevard Solar come and give them their money back? Nope.
Absolutely not.
So buyer beware. Be careful who you deal with.
100%. I want to bring David back into the conversation. David, the idea of your business and the model that you've set forth and everything, it could apply to anyone. It's about you as an owner and about you and your staff and your guys and how you inform them and teach them and how they conduct business.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because we talked about the start of the company. I don't get to talk about that very much, but I will say this: in the early days, I knew how I wanted to represent what I wanted to do. But when I was looking for anybody to help me, like I just needed an extra set of hands on the roof, or 2 people on the roof that could do the work, and maybe I could start doing a little bit more sales and
right.
so on. So I would take any skill set that I could get. It literally, if you said you knew what solar was, I would hire you. I would recruit you and say, listen, man, if you know what solar is, I need your help. And I would do anything I could do to get that skill set. And now
anymore.
It's the opposite,
right.
Sadly. So what's the great, we morphed into, and this is a fantastic revolution, but once you morphed into a company that has a great culture and everybody wants to win.
That's right.
And when I say win, what we mean by win is to deliver a completely perfect customer experience. And if everybody does that, you look for the people, not necessarily the skill set. And we love that.
All right, David Ringo, Travis McIntire, they're here from 3D Solar. You can find them on consumerquarterback.com. Check them out. Make sure you get a trusted advisor. This is an important field. It's the future, and we want you to make the right decision. Thanks for tuning in, and I want to thank Brandon for giving me the opportunity. Check us out online, consumerquarterback.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time